ท่านนำเสนอข่าวบิดเบือนยิ่งตอนที่เจ๊ปองกับตอนที่กนกเป็นพิธีกรยุยงปลุกปั่นให้ประชาชนเกลียดกันเองนำเสนอเฟซนิวทุกอย่าง
The young lady in the video was referring to pro-establishment journalists Kun Anjali Parirat and Kun Ganok Wongsekul. I caught the incidents on camera Saturday night at the pro-democracy demonstration in front of the Rashida courthouse. The young lady also said similar things about Channel 3 and Channel 9. To be fair, however, Kun Anjali and Kun Ganok are no longer with the nation. They are with Top News. More importantly, the nation reporter at the scene likely has nothing to do with biased reporting. He's a field reporter in the front line, not a talking head behind the desk, and he was very courteous to the young lady, letting her have her say, not arguing, cutting her off, or walking away. That said, the young lady's sentiment echoes those of many Thais. There is a crisis of confidence or trust in the news media. But the problem isn't just in Thailand, it's the world over. In America, the conservatives would say CNN is biased, while the liberals would say Fox News is biased. In Thailand, supporters of democracy watch Voice TV.
ความรับผิดชอบมึงลบคำว่าความช่วยเหลือออกจากพจนานุกรมไปชั่วคราวไม่มีประชาชนคนไทยคนไหนต้องการความช่วยเหลือจากรัฐบาลเขาต้องการความรับผิดชอบ
Supporters of the establishment watch Top News.
หมายว่าม็อบมันทำแบบนี้เนี่ยนะฮะม็อบมันทำร้ายเจ้าหน้าที่ตำรวจม็อบมันจะบุกไปบ้านนะฮะบ้านพักนายกหรือม็อบมันจะบุกไปหน่วยงานรักษาความปลอดภัยส่วนพระองค์เนี่ยนะครับแล้วก็ม็อบมันก่อความวุ่นวายเผารถตำรวจมีดารามีบุคคลที่มีชื่อเสียงในแวดวงการบันเทิงเนี่ยเห็นด้วยกับม็อบซึ่งก็คือเห็นด้วยกับม็อบล้มเจ้าฮะ
Then everyone echoes their preferred narratives on their social media account with added expletives, curses, and insults. Because after all, we consume the news with emotion rather than with reason. And when we consume the news with emotion, we are susceptible to brainwashing by those who set the agenda for the news organization. In this video, I will discuss my interpretation of what the news media is and should be, divided into 5 points. You may or may not agree with my interpretation, such is the wonderfulness of free speech. Number 1. The cheerleader effect. The news media that echoes the agenda of the government is not doing journalistic work. It's acting as a government public relations office. Journalists become cheerleaders in short skirts, waving pom-poms and doing the high steps.
We are cheerleaders,
Number 2. Checks and balances. It is the function of the news media to checks and balances the power of the government. Every government. It doesn't matter who's in charge. The journalist's job is to always be a pain in the ass. Why is this important? Democracy works if there's a balance of power. The government is the single most powerful entity in society. It's the wealthiest with all the tax money. It's the most powerful, commanding the police and the military. Lots of money, lots of guns. As the saying goes, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. As such, it is the news media's responsibility to check the power of the government. Whether the government is run by the army, run by the Shinawatra, or run by the Juangroongruangkit. Well, that last one is not gonna happen in this decade, if at all. Number 3. Neutrality. The news media is not Switzerland. There is no neutrality when it comes to checking the power of the government because you are checking government power on behalf of the people. The people who neither have the wealth nor the guns to fight the government. But with information and knowledge from the news media, the people have the power to make decisions, whether what to protest about or who to vote for. Information is knowledge, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Seize him.
However, context is everything. Suppose the news media is reporting on a case of Miss Som Ying suing Mr. Somchai over something. Then be neutral. It's just one citizen versus another. You see, the news media is a vital function of a democratic society. For democracy to work, there needs to be a check and balance system independent, of the government. But Thailand isn't really even a democracy. As such, it's even more important for the news media when it comes to checking government power. To be like white on rice, white on jasmine rice, brown on rotten rice. In the context of Thailand, if political reporting is neutral, then you are neutral between dictatorial power and democratic ambitions. And that is just stupid for a functional democracy to not stand up for democratic values. That said, we should not blindly support democracy either. It may be the best government system humankind has ever created. Until something else comes along that does a better job of providing human rights, civil liberty, and equality under the law. But like everything else in life, if people are involved, then there are sure to be greedy people aiming to abuse, manipulate, and corrupt. Number 4. Money and power. When the news media itself becomes a profit-making machine, journalistic integrity is compromised in the interest of advertising money. Why do many news media organizations shy away from honest discussions about Section 112 and monarchy reforms, or even just to have an honest criticism of the government and the military? Because advertisers would run away. There isn't even a need for government censorship. You censor yourself in the interest of advertising money. Especially in an economy where a handful of conglomerates controls the big money, your journalistic integrity is compromised even more. Who wants to risk pissing off the CP group, right? Furthermore, what if big businesses own the news media? You become journalists on a leash. Not to mention, in a society where the tycoons are in bed with politicians, well then, you are not only on a leash, you are also in a cage. Look at Thailand's media landscape and trace the money to see who owns what, who depends on which advertising money, or who is affiliated to which political faction. That would answer the question as to why they report the way that they do. To go even a step further, which news media is owned outright by the government or run by the army? Check out the many mainstream TV and radio stations. Therefore, if a news media can be trusted, it's merely because money and power take precedence over that little thing required in journalism: honesty. Number 5. Rights, liberty, and equality. In my opinion, the news media, as a function of democracy, should champion human rights, civil liberty, and equality under the law. The opposite of these values is oppression, tyranny, and inequality. So think about it. Neutrality between human rights and oppression, neutrality between tyranny and liberty, neutrality between equality and inequality. That, ladies and gentlemen, would be a moral, ethical, and professional perversion.